It is becoming blatantly obvious that relationships in today's time are not working anymore, with women becoming the common denominator of ending said relationships, regardless the quality and time spent in. In their stupid logic, pursuing happiness is more important than, for example, dealing with certain problems that, yes, might eventually darken the horizon for a few years. In the end, though, she is gone, and you, the guy, having a chance once more to become truly happy at life. Almost 2 decades ago, it already back then pissed me off greatly, giving advice to guys to not solely focus on women in general, to only see them over time abandoning their own friends and companions to pursue certain girls, to only come back a couple years later on their knees regretting their decisions. It wasn't just a complete standstill to the relationship. It was a total stop of contact. There was no more games to be played, be it outside or virtually. So no more soccer, tennis, basketball, meeting each other after school to discuss certain things, for example, for the weekends, plans for the weekends. There were no more competitive matches. There was no more base building. No more playing one of the most important games and exciting games back of that time, the DayZ mod, and all its base building, this new game that actually captured almost everyone's attention because of the freedom that game has given to so many players worldwide. It all vanished because of girls. And in a way, it's understandable because it was something new. At that age, for example, 14 to 19, love and lust is something completely new to a lot of people. Couple years ago, just the simple idea of, for example, a girl kissing a guy or vice versa was actually more seen as a disgusting idea. It was just, you know? Just a few years later, because of the hormones kicking in, it was a thrill, it was something fascinating. And unfortunately, a lot of guys lose themselves totally during that time frame because they want to spend as much time as possible with certain girl. That certain girl, unfortunately, in most of the cases, and it actually clearly be seen in today's time, doesn't even know who she is during that time frame. She's actually overwhelmed by all those emotions, by those hormones, by influences all around her. She doesn't know who she is. She's going to play that guy. And that naive moron basically is losing himself, hurting himself over time, and later on regretting his decisions greatly. You have to understand, most women are at odds with reality. They do not like logic nor the truth. They also do not like the direct confrontation. A harsh, direct confrontation is always, usually, perceived as a direct personal attack to a woman. Simple example when it comes to cooking. Are you able to cook? Most women, if they, for example, can't cook properly, see that as a personal attack. So you have to go around the corner, basically. You can't go direct with a woman or those women. Let's just say it's those particular women that we're going to explain in further videos as well. The 51% minimum. The woman, the promiscuous, immature women who are at odds with reality. That's a minimum of 51% for all the stupid people out there who do not understand that. They're a good woman, but the majority, unfortunately, in today's time, turn out to be bad. And they do not like that confrontation, that directness that men actually love. Because they have learned over time to deal with that. And I'm going to explain that further as well. They do not like it because, once again, it's a personal attack because of the way women in general are raised. So you have, when it comes to the food example, go the corner around. What are the children going to eat later on? And only then it clicks for most women. Only then, because it's not about them. They think because they were raised at an early age usually treated as a princess by daddy and eventually mommy as well. Through time, they are seen and perceive reality that they are basically the prize. They are perceived by society to be the prize. After all, the prize, for example, doesn't have to do anything. The prize doesn't have to go through trial and error. The prize doesn't have to do much effort to evolve as a character, to evolve as a persona. The prize doesn't have to do meditation, doesn't have to do much of sport. It's just the looks and eventually some smiling. That's all that is needed to basically create certain emotions in people all around them. Girls basically learn that, for example, by doing something wrong and capturing all around the environment, that they have learned behavior from their mothers and their aunts, eventually even girlfriends, that through crying, they will not be treated the same way, for example, that guys are. By crying, she learns that she gets attention, that people feel sorry for her, and that's not her fault actually, because people show compassion towards the girl. And over time, she learns that she can manipulate her environment to her liking if it's necessary. Guys, on the other hand, are completely raised differently. They have to put in a lot of effort over time to prove not just to themselves, but also to the world that they are someone. So they have to become someone over time to be noticed by their surroundings. Otherwise, they will be not seen. And most guys are not seen. Most guys are not seen for their qualities because eventually they lack any quality. But also when it comes to today's love life, the dating scene, they are completely overlooked because once again they haven't found themselves over time, or like I said in the example prior, they went all in at an early age and completely lost themselves. And instead of rebuilding themselves, finding the truth within, once again, they have lost themselves and there's no hope in their eyes to evolve as a person. Because once again, they are completely overwhelmed by their emotions, going all in with someone else that they thought it would last forever. With someone, usually those girls at that early age, those teenage times, they have no clue who they are. They also have no clue what they want to be in the world later on. Boys and girls. They have to find it over time. And usually many can't. Because once again, they don't know who they are. And they definitely do not go within. They all the time seek validation from the external world, their peers, all the people around them. Maybe even through social media in today's time, because they have no self-esteem to begin with. And by going all in at an early age, self-esteem is completely destroyed. And those guys who didn't learn that they have to put in effort to develop themselves, to fix themselves, to go through trial and error, to go within, to develop wisdom basically, to seek knowledge. Those who didn't do that later on are lost. They're completely lost and think that they have to be nice in order to get attention. That is the nice guy in the end that no one wants to be around with. Because the nice guy is not just bad to the girls, it's also bad to the guys. Because the nice guy will always do certain things in order to get attention, to come out as the better person, to have an advantage over someone. So they basically are going to stab even their best friends in the back. In order, for example, to get the girl. In order to get some money. In order to get a better look by their companions. To get a better job. To get whatever. They are going to, in the end, do something that is going to completely hurt not just themselves, but their persona their outside experience and appearance. Yeah. And this is going to totally destroy them in the end because no one wants to be around them. Girls see them as creepy and guys see them as weak. This is something to completely avoid. So once again, girls are treated in a way that they can learn to manipulate. And I've explained those two examples before now to understand that the girl is able to also play the nice guy. They're not just playing the good guys in the end, because there's lots of men out there, for example, who have a lot of money. They have millions even. And even those guys who are in shape, they do sport, they do whatever. They are disciplined, they have integrity, their character is still intact, their honor. They're still getting played. And especially those nice guys, they are played totally. But the ones who have integrity, who have something going for themselves, are also played as well. Because once again, the girl doesn't know who she is, and she doesn't have to do any effort to find that out. Because once again, she's the prize, right? The prize doesn't have to do anything. The one who wants to claim the prize basically has to show a lot of effort through time and affection and dedication and whatnot in order to claim her, right? And in order to claim her, she also has to make sure that her surroundings is totally fine with the one who wants to claim her. The new guy, for example. Since those women do not know who they are, and they do not develop over time, those immature women, under their non-existing emotional intelligence, want things their way, under their circumstances, under their time, with their vision in mind. And if the guy, for example, steps out of line because he has high self-esteem, because he is someone who, for example, thinks things through, is a trouble fixer, doesn't allow to play himself or to be played by her, notices what she's doing and avoids certain interactions because he knows the outcome, what she's planning for him, for example, to do. Such a guy, by good woman, she sees him as boring. He is boring. He is a trouble fixer. A trouble fixer wants peace and silence. The relationship should work, and he also wanna have his own freedom, basically that peace and silence. When he, for example, comes home, should be no talk, no arguments, nothing. He just wants, for example, to sit on a couch and maybe drink a beer for an hour or two. No talk, no communication. That also means no interactions visually. An immature woman doesn't understand any of those things. An immature woman wants things her way. If the trouble fixer would now fix all those problems, once again, it's boring. There are no ups and downs. Her emotions are basically all the time getting fixed. She presents a problem, even though it might be a self-created nonsense problem. He might be able to fix it in just a few minutes, maybe even an hour, maybe even a day. The problem is gone. Her emotions are not basically dancing up and down. There is no roller coaster. There's nothing going on. So he is boring because the immature woman has never learned to self-identify, to know who she is. She is basically kept at a certain age, emotionally, because those women at that time frame, even though they claim that they love someone, that they want to be with someone, those relationships do not work in general. And there's emotional damage on both sides. And since her having not put in any time, any effort in time, she's kept, the damage is too much for the guy who, for example, has put in effort over time. The damage is not that big, it's actually minimal. Someone like that can fix himself, heal himself, eventually over a year or two, and the damage is gone. He is completely detached and basically ready for a new relationship, while the woman isn't. She is damaged. and will continue to damage new guys even though they are not responsible for the problems of the previous relationship. But once again, it's very important to understand that the price doesn't have to be held accountable. The price, after all, is the price. The price wants to be secured. There's no need to evolve because she looks nice, maybe even sexy. She knows how to walk her body. She knows how to talk those sweet words and manipulate. And she can continue to do that depending on her looks up to a certain age. From then on, it gets more and more difficult. Why? Because over time, she has dealt with a lot of guys. She had, for example, sex with a lot of guys. She is damaged to a certain degree. And at a certain age, guys have simply enough. And worldwide, it can be now seen more like a punishment, more like a lesson to these women. Not the good women, those promiscuous, immature women who are lying, deceiving, manipulating, and cheating. They might even cheat because the guy has high self-esteem and is a trouble fixer. If she wants to test him and he basically graduates through all those tests and is once again the trouble fixer, it is boring. Boredom. He is boring. That love is boring. All her friends do not have that type of love. That is actually mature, real, honest love. If someone wants to fix problems, if someone wants to lecture a woman, teach her certain things, avoid certain dangers, avoid certain scenarios, warning her, that is all to immature women boring because they once again had dealt with certain morons in their teenage times, the douchebags, the basically unhealthy version of a good man, what they perceive as the bad boy. The bad boy who is able to move her emotions, the bad boy who is toying with her, the bad boy who is simply, once again, toying and playing with her, not taking her seriously. There's ups and downs. He is not replying. What is he doing? Maybe he's even playing with other girls as well. There's constant worry, there's constant mystery. A good man is at the same time the healthy version of a bad boy. So a good man is also willing to take risks, is also funny, is also exciting, is also mysterious. Unfortunately, we do not have a lot of good men. If we did, the nonsense kindergarten bullshit in 2020 would have never happened. This nonsense would have been over in 2 weeks worldwide. Unfortunately, a lot of people have fallen for it and are going to pay the price, and the price is going to be heavy. It is already heavy. It is already to be seen what's going on. It is already to be seen how many people are already gone and are going to continue to be gone. Unfortunately, there's two sides basically of humanity right now. One went to the left and one went to the right. And if the good men finally stand up and do something, everything can be turned around in society. It all depends on the good man. Just because you know what is going on doesn't mean that you are, for example, a good person. If you know what's going on and you do not voice yourself, you are as worse as those who, for example, are doing it. Just a simple example. Also, when it came to all the establishments in the past of each century, there were always people around warning the people about certain subjects that the masses were simply too dumb to understand because it went outside their perception, outside of their learned behavior and knowledge. And they didn't want to accept it because, once again, it's a complete different worldview. And those that were warning those people back in time, for example, were the good ones. Then there were people who also knew what was going on but didn't do anything. Those are as worse as those who were doing it, and for example right now are doing that too. This is very important to understand because there is a certain phrase that so many people have already heard. Weak times create strong men create good times create a weak man, and so on, and the circle continues. There needs to be a higher perception to be achieved by the people in order to maintain the good times, still creating good men or good people in after all. Unfortunately, that takes a lot of effort because who wants to do the extra work, the extra mile, the extra whatever when times are great, right? Who wants to run a marathon when it's, for example, sunshine outside? Who wants to do that? Who wants to put in the extra effort, especially during peaceful times? Life has always shown that the stupid ones are only basically evolving during hardship, suffering. Their life is on the line. Those are the times when people realize that they are going to be, for example, financially or with their life completely exterminated from this realm, from this reality. Only then, when their perception of their bubble bursts, people are willing to do something. Only then. Unfortunately, in certain scenarios, that is too late. It is simply too late, and the consequences of that are playing itself out over the years. And it's going to be very, very difficult to basically turn back. That takes a lot of effort, a lot of dedication, a lot of skill, a lot of knowledge, a lot of highlighting the information so that the moron can't deal with it. When it comes to the topic, women being at odds with reality, they are run by emotions. So that means whatever logic, whatever information you present means nothing. Because she's the prize after all, right? The prize doesn't have to do anything. The prize is sitting still and waiting to be claimed. The prize has been treated over 15 plus years to be the princess. 15 plus years, for example, that she is the one who is allowed to rule over the claimer, the guy, regardless who he is, regardless if he has a high self-esteem, regardless if he is a millionaire. She's ruling over him because she's the prize after all, which is once again far from the truth. Women who understand that logic, they do not have to worry in life that their guy is going to leave them. Because these women have understood their role in the relationship and in society as a whole. These women also move completely differently through life. They are seen differently, they are perceived differently, they talk differently, they have class, they are feminine, They are willing to cooperate, they are willing to listen, they are willing to shut up, they are willing to make sure that their guy that they are spending time with, because he is all the time having certain battles going on, battles in his own mind, at the workplace. Maybe he is investing a lot of money, and this is an overwhelming scenario. She is able to comfort him. She is able to basically be his heaven, his peace, his inner silence. Such a woman will never be left by a man. A man that actually really feels respected and realizes there is peace and silence. For me, peace and silence are the most important things. If I do not get peace and silence, if I am welcomed basically by drama, nonsense, and bullshittery, I don't want to have anything to do with a woman. Why should I? I'm not mentally ill. That I want to be basically all the time under stress. That I want to be all the time questioned by what I'm doing, for what I'm doing it, and what I'm going to do with certain resources, with time and money, for example. Or that I have, for example, a vision in life that I know will benefit both me and, for example, a girl. But she is not able to see that because, once again, the immature woman, the immature promiscuous woman, wants things her way. She's not able to think in that category because that would mean a direct confrontation with reality, and that being me, for example. So, do I want to play mind games that I have to go around the corner once again and ask what are the children going to eat? Where are the children going to live? What kind of education should they basically receive because of certain decisions where to live? For example, be it in a different state, be it in a different country, be it where there's a complete different language, there's a complete different energy, different people, everything's completely different. Of course, this is going to have a major impact on, for example, the kids, right? Not just me and the girl, but also the kids. Once again, you would always have to go around the corner with such a woman, and that is time consuming, energy consuming, and it drains you. Not just energetically, but also emotionally. At one point, you would be at zero, where she gets a high out of this nonsense. Because in her eyes, seeing you basically being drained, having to argue with her, that's love. Something is going on. There's movement. Energy is moving up and down, up and down, up and down like crazy. That is what all her friends, once again, right, are perceiving as well. There is no harmony in those relationships. She has heard in those talks, I don't know, when they meet each other at the cinema or at certain places and they're talking with each other. They are revealing certain stories. Everyone knows that. And they are revealing that the relationship also has troubles. Most girls have to trap a guy, these promiscuous women. They have to trap him through early engagements, through early children, through early marriage. There were times where people could basically marry each other after only having met for 3-4 years. In today's time, I would never advise any sane man to marry within a time frame of 7 years prior. So under 7 years, you should not marry, especially if you are successful, especially if you have money, especially if you have certain goals you want to achieve in life, especially if you have a great vision for your family, for yourself, maybe even for the entire planet, for humanity. Such a woman, if not identified as promiscuous, deceiving, lying, manipulating, maybe eventually even cheating behind people's back, is going to wreck your entire life as a man. You will be left financially crippled like so many other dudes are out there for the next 18-20 years. Money taken, home taken, car taken, possibilities taken, while she already is having sex with someone else. You have to be totally informed that these women are in the majority right now. Once again, a minimum of 51%. It could be also 75% of women today in those dating scenes being promiscuous, and only 25% in totality being the good woman, those that everyone seeks out and wants to have as a relationship, as a wife, basically, because you will have peace, you will have silence, you will have someone who fully believes in yourself, you will have someone who will never be influenced by outside morons. Outside morons can be anything: friends, workplace, family, because even those people, blood does not make family. You clearly can see that. They might be greatly envious of certain relationships. Once again, women, promiscuous women, have to trap someone as quickly as possible. And still those relationships are not working. There's children involved. Still not working. There's marriage involved. still not working. Couple years later, everything starts to crumble down, slowly but surely. And then there's those other people, right? Who, for example, are vibrating at a very high frequency, where everything is working and they're not even engaged. They're not even married. They might not even live, for example, together. There's maybe one city or one state away. They're one city, one state away, and everything is working. And there is no thought process on both sides to look elsewhere. Because those people, those two, for example, know very well what they have. They have finally found someone who's on their level. This is a complete different love, once again. This is a love full of trust. In order to love someone, you have to trust. You have to be to some degree vulnerable. Doesn't mean that you are crying or whatever, especially as a man, you shouldn't do that. You can only basically cry if someone dies, if you have your broken limbs, if you're hurt incredibly. Your cat maybe dies. Those are the times you can cry. And only eventually, if you have a relationship going on with such a woman of such quality for 15 plus years, then you can maybe cry one time in front of her. Otherwise, I would greatly not advise to ever do anything like that. Because once again, these women, these manipulative women, do not know who they are. They are deceiving their environment and the guy. And if the guy, once again, is the trouble fixer, the one who has high self-esteem, who has discipline, who has his life going, certain ambitions, certain visions that needed or need to be achieved, right? Someone who's, for example, all the time doing sport, all the time playing chess, all the time investing money, not having a lot of time for her, basically. Someone like that, together with a promiscuous woman, she is going to create drama, nonsense, bullshittery, and eventually will be cheating on him without him knowing. Because she already has someone else in her mind. She already has created a narrative about the guy and hoping he will be the one ending it. So the narrative fits, right? Told you it was him that ended the relationship, even though she is the promiscuous one cheating all the time. And in today's time after time, there could be any reason behind that, right? Cheating out of boredom, because she perceives love as boring. Cheating because she doesn't get her needs met under her time, under her circumstances, under her vision, and blah blah blah. Non-existing emotional intelligence. Everything needs to be her way, so full in her ego and her pride, because she's the prize after all, right? Cheating because she eventually wants better opportunities. She wants money. She might be going for an older guy. She might be looking for basically a gold. She reveals herself to be a gold digger. She might be cheating also because she might be bisexual and all the time hiding it. And eventually the guy finds it out. So what then? Needs to be eliminated as quickly as possible. There could be many, many other reasons. She might be also not exclusive to you. She might be into group sex, something that, for example, you two have completely said is a no-go. But she wants to live out that fantasy. Whatever the reason is, a woman with no emotional intelligence, and you actually clearly see more and more girls also saying that about other women, that they have no emotional intelligence, because once again I've explained it how they were raised, telling that it's greatly in your interest as a man to identify them as quickly as possible and leave. You are not You are not an idiot if you do not, for example, perceive that she's playing with you. It is very important from the moment that you identify what she's doing, who she is. That single split second. Your decision from now on in that 1 second determines if you are a winner or if you're a loser. Basically those sims, those beta morons. That one single second determines everything. For example, you finding out her cheating. What are most guys going to do? Throw her away or take her back, even after some time has passed? If she cheated on you, the game is over, forever in this lifetime. It is finito. Never allow that to be taken back. Never allow or never give her entry into your life once more. And I'm greatly against something maybe on the side, because I've seen it quite a lot of times with guys saying, you should now go to the gym greatly, you should pursue your dreams even harder, even faster, even, quickly show her what she has lost. I'm completely against that. Simple thing. Most guys, they might be jacked later on. Unfortunately, they do not heal emotionally because most guys, for example, do not do meditation. They do not find inner peace. Over time, they might be jacked once more. Couple years later, they might have more money, yes, and that's a good thing. But what if she comes back 6 years later in a complete different way? And the guy starts to crumble. She just came back 2-3 years later. And most guys do not have healed in that time frame because once more, they do not do meditation. They only go to the gym. They only basically engage in those masculine things, but do not heal the other side. And therefore, or another scenario, the guy gets successful, the guy meets someone else, well, another girl, because he isn't healed. The other girl usually shows many attributes of the previous one, the ex. This girl plays with him, cheats eventually also on him, and then he meets half a year later the previous ex. So what then? Most guys crumble. There's also other reasons why you should never take an ex back who cheats. It's also the energetic thing. It's not just the visible thing that actually this alone should be the reason why you should never take someone back, the promiscuous woman who doesn't want to be held accountable. Because not just of the disgusting visible things what someone else has done basically with your girl, right? It's the energetic part that I've mentioned a few times in previous videos. She had sex with someone else, right? She is absorbing his energy, not just the physical thing, maybe sperm for example, but also their bodies are together, merging, and their souls are merging. Also the auric fields are merging. If a guy were about to take her back, he would be absorbing the other guy's energy, because in that short time frame it's impossible to transmute that energy. And because most women do not know who they are unable to do so anyway. They're claiming all the time that they are wiser and more mature at a younger age than basically most guys, right? Once again, far from the truth. If that was true, women in general would be the ones going within. Women in general would be problem solvers. Women in general would be doing Tai Chi, meditation, open in public, en masse. Thousands of women would be doing that. They would be healing basically the entire planet full of those troubles, dramas, and energetic blockages. Are they doing it? No. Women are wrecking a lot of guys in that early stages of life. Because once again, they don't know who they are and they are perceived and seen as the prize. They see themselves as the prize. The prize, once again, doesn't have to do anything. They have a very high inflated ego. Because they have learned at an early age that they can basically take out a guy from his peers, long-term peers, maybe even a decade of friendship. Just like that. And he will never play with his friends until she's done with him. And I have been warning about that even once again 2 decades ago. There's a reason why I was hated on so much back then. Not just because of being jealous of certain morons because I got the attention of women, but also because of certain other chicks. When I have been saying those things, they didn't like that, of course. Because it highlights who they are, and then they have no chance of getting certain guy that they want for a certain time frame. And so it proceeded basically what happened back to me, getting attacked by so many people. And luckily, I found through meditation, that's why I put so much emphasis on all those subjects in all those videos, that you have to know who you are, that you have to go within, because true strength comes from here, from inside. You will quickly identify why people attack you. We're not talking here about nerds, for example, who dress themselves in a strange way, that I've said many times in the videos as well. But people who are not clowns, people who have ambitions, people who have visions, people who know what they want, people who have presence in a room. That's what I'm talking about. And you can have already presence in a room when you are 14. You don't have to be 26 or 35 or 55 to have presence. You can be that actually at a very early age because you completely think differently. I have been researching just on the side at 14 already about MK Ultra. I was very curious about why in so many movies there was always that butterfly effect seen. Maybe at the start of the movie when the names are popping up, you know, who is the actor in certain movies, or the butterfly, the blue butterfly nonsense later on in the movie or in a book towards the end. Stuff like that. What have most people done when they were 14 years old? Certainly not something like that. So you can already have presence and intelligence to be seen at such young age. And there will be, for 100%, moronic morons hating on you. Because you are the attention in a room. The girls like you. You have something to offer. You have some knowledge to share. You are funny. You are good looking. You are doing sport. You are, once again, what women like, mysterious. Moronic morons aren't like that. The nice guy will stab you in the back because he is jealous. He's a weak bastard. And women control over time these weak bastards as well. They keep them in a roster. A woman of today, those promiscuous women, they do not have just one guy on the side. They have many, many more. They have certain access that they keep in touch, even though they might have a great relationship. It doesn't matter because the relationship is boring. 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 20 years. There might be even children involved. It's boring. The trouble fixer fixes all those problems that she creates out of nowhere because she's bored. Because she has nothing to do in her life. She doesn't know who she is. She's bored. She's boring maybe herself. And she eventually hears stories about what her girlfriends have going on, yeah? Not understanding, once again, the directness. What they have going on eventually is just a relationship of 2-3 years. Here's a relationship of 15 years plus. Maybe even children involved. Doesn't matter. She's not able to see the perspective that there's a 12-year difference in the relationship. She wants happiness. She wants to feel alive. She wants to pursue, in her stupid logic, once again, happiness. Under her circumstances, under her vision, everything under her time. She sees someone else has it better going, even though 12 years ago they also had the same thing. It was also nice, fresh and exciting, but there's a 12-year difference. So once again, the directness. You can't go direct with a lot of women. With good women, there's no problem. You can clearly communicate, because she expects clear communication. God damn it. She wants to know where she stands. And she will never be allowed or allow herself to be influenced by anyone around her, because she clearly understands the guy is treating me well, the guy is not creating problems, the guy is fixing problems, the guy makes sure that the woman basically protects her from danger, incoming danger, future danger, gives great advice, is mysterious eventually, is a good man. A good man is also willing to kill to protect the family without even hesitation. If someone tries to harm the family, the good man, because he is the healthy version of the bad boy, the one who is able to take risks, going to kill to protect the family without questioning. A simp, a nice guy, a beta moron, an idiot will never be able to do that. Especially especially those douchebags, the bling bling moron. The bling bling moron douchebag is usually the karma for the promiscuous woman. Once she cheats on a great guy, on a great man with vision and ambition, she's going to receive karma. Here's the karma. And if she's not going to apologize and continues this promiscuous behavior, cheating, lying, deceiving, manipulating, the karma stacks and stacks and stacks, especially if she's sleeping around, creating soul ties, creating and mixing energies, bringing maybe soul ties once again, bringing children into the world. Maybe the only reason that certain people, certain moronic idiots come together is, for example, to just create a child. That's it. Just on the side to think about. So, for the good woman, it will be a little bit more difficult to prove yourself to men in general, because men, after all, have clearly seen how those promiscuous women, who are now in the majority, are operating, therefore having enough. And having enough means, when it comes to men, game over. Men are basically happy staying single, remaining single over long periods of time, maybe even sexless. They do not care. They want to have peace and silence. They want to have their money in good shape, their body in good shape. They want to maintain relationships with their companions, good friendships, playing computer games, playing outside, meeting each other, having fun, eventually even going outside, eating alone, and not having to pay crazy amounts of money just to impress someone else's undiagnosed, clinically, mentally ill daughter, for example, like that. There's a fine line, and the fine line has been stepped over the last 3, 4, 5 decades. But you have to keep in mind, in all of my videos, I have highlighted or hinted, let's just say hinted, I have hinted, if not said openly, that there are agendas right now being played out with one common goal. And those agendas usually create enormous problems in certain subjects that the agenda wants, for example, friction to play itself out. So There will be also videos of mine that I will create about why, for example, men had been under attack for more than several centuries, especially the last 100 years. Great attack on men. Then there was attack on women, which is right now. And men are now being uplifted once more in their newfound power, basically. Many will unfortunately not able to handle that because they have never been in those strong peerships to begin with. They also never had self-esteem to begin with. So they find strength in numbers, which is also a very dangerous thing. That's why you can see certain comments now popping up about certain categories when it comes to women that hadn't been present 5-6 years ago. Because those guys, those weak bastards, know that when they post certain comments, they will easily have several hundred likes. Because there's a movement, there's something going on now, there's something to bash, finally something to attack. For example, attack women, attack certain jobs, certain opportunities. Something can be finally attacked in numbers, and they know that there's backup, not just a few, several hundred to maybe even several tens of thousands of likes and comments and whatnot. A few years ago, there was no movement like that. And you didn't see those comments. Now you do. And you see it also with women highlighting themselves to be once again the common denominator, ending relationships, regardless the quality and time spent in them. It doesn't matter. They want to pursue happiness, to only regret a few years later their decisions because they were then ran through by so many idiots, and you, the guy, usually staying behind, fixing yourself over time, and becoming, or you already are, even though before entering the relationship, a whole man, before the relationship, and after that relationship, a whole man. There's a major difference. If you aren't a whole man to begin with, that is usually the way that most guys are doing with going to the gym, training like crazy, avoiding women in general, not healing, and later on, even 8, 9, 10 years later, becoming insecure once certain behaviors show up in a new relationship. Therefore, it's very important to fix yourself as quickly as possible, to become a whole man, in order to eventually, once, for example, a relationship ends, heal over time, half a year to a year, and you are yourself again. Nothing to worry about. And you will bring no problems into a new relationship. Because the new girl, the new woman, doesn't deserve all those problems. This is someone completely new. Maybe she's also healed. So why should an unhealed man bring those problems to those relationships just because of those promiscuous women who don't want to be held accountable? It is very important to hold women accountable for what they are doing, because they don't want to be confronted with the direct, harsh truth. This is being at odds with reality. Reality is harsh and direct. You do the wrong move, you might end up dead. You do the wrong move, you lose a lot of money. You do the wrong move, you lose your family. You do the wrong move, you will be staying alone for a long period of time. Women never had to learn such things in the West. In the East, women are completely different. A lot of women there do martial arts. A lot of women do meditation. A lot of women do Qigong and Tai Chi. There's a complete different mindset, a complete different approach to life. These women are raised differently. They are raised, for example, they are raised to be wives in the end. But also when it comes to the example, to be great to be great to be great friends, who would never lie, who would never manipulate, never cheat. It doesn't even cross their mind to do these immature, stupid little childish games. I can't talk. I should maybe drink something. So once again, make sure that you quickly identify with whom you are dealing. And if you identify such a woman, to end it as quickly as possible. Do not seek revenge. Do not shout out certain names, blah blah blah. Just simply remove yourself in silence, and time itself will tell you that you have done the right decision and will highlight to everyone around that you had been right all along and that she is the liar, deceiver, and manipulator. Have the courage to be yourself.